Hello lifters, welcome back to Lifting with Kate. Welcome back lifters. Today's video is definitely more for you beginners in the gym out there. Today we are talking about gym terms and lingo. So obviously every society, every club, every whatever has their own lingo and their own vocabulary, their own terms, and the gym is no different. So we're going to teach you guys some of those terms today so you're not completely lost going into the gym. Okay, so our first term is PR. So that literally just stands for personal record. In lifting, we call it a PR. I'm not sure if like swimmers and runners and bikers, if they have like their own name for it. I don't know if they call it their personal best or like just a new record, or if they call it a PR as well, but definitely for lifting, we call it a PR. So next one is max. So max goes hand in hand with PR. So your max is what we call your 1 rep max. So it's as heavy as you can possibly go for one rep, one turn. So if I were to do a squat, the weight that I had on where I could only do one, that would be my max. So when somebody's hitting a PR, that's their new max. Next one's bar. So literally that's just short for barbell. Sometimes it's just tedious to say barbell all the time, so we just say bar. We got med ball. It's short for medicine ball. So a medicine ball, if you are not aware of what it is, it's a weighted ball. It's kind of the same texture as like a basketball, but with like, it's weighted inside, so we use it for resistance training. Lots of explosive work. They're great. Actually, there are some that are a little bit more like leathery and kind of more plushy. It kind of just depends on the kind of med ball that you. All right, we also have HIIT, or HIIT. So HIIT stands for high intensity interval training. So this can be done with calisthenics, which is literally just body weight, or with weights. It's usually done in a circuit, or it's really just getting your heart rate up in short intervals. All right, we also have our rack. So the rack is where the bar or the barbell goes. So when somebody says to re-rack or rack the weight, what that means is you're putting the bar back onto the stand, the rack, which is, it's where it lives. The rack is where the bar lives. So we also have our Smith machine. So a Smith machine is a machine that looks like a barbell and rack, but the thing about a Smith machine is that it's connected to the rack. With some models I've seen, the whole rack moves and not just the bar, but it's set in its position, so the bar is a lot lighter and you can't like drop the bar. It's not a free weight, it's attached, and it's really interesting. Okay, we also have pump. So pump is something that happens at the end of your workout. It's the blood and fluids they've all rushed to your muscles, so you tend to look a little bit bigger, your skin feels a little bit tighter, and you just feel bigger. So this is really common with bodybuilders and power lifters, just lifters in general. Pump definitely tends to be a thing. Like if you say a model or like a sports model, fitness model, whatever, is about to go shoot their photography, sometimes they'll do a few push-ups, a few crunches or something just to get the pump going, so you look your biggest during your pump. All right, we got superset. So superset is something that we do when we're programming workouts. So basically all it means is that workouts are like 2 exercises are back to back. So for example, say I'm doing 10 pull-ups over here, then I will immediately go into, 20 push-ups over here. The point is that there's no rest in between the 2 workouts. Some programs you just have to keep going, and some will actually let a rest in between, but the point of it is like you keep going, there's no rest. All right, so we also have a spot. So basically what a spot is somebody that's going to make sure that the weight doesn't crush you. So if you are going on a really, really heavy lift, so heavy squat, heavy bench, sometimes people will ask for a spot. Spots are very important on bench in particular, because squat, you can kind of just get out of it. Like you can move away from the bar. But with bench, you really want to have a spot. So like I said, spot is somebody, they will usually be over the bar. So if you're not gonna make the lift, they're gonna make sure that that bar does not crush you, that you get it back onto the rack. So spots are very important. Please do not be afraid to ask your neighbor if something is like too heavy. Don't be afraid to ask your neighbor for a spot. Everybody's usually more than willing to help spot you. Okay, so we also have cutting and bulking, but we're gonna start with cutting right now. So cutting is a cycle or a time in training. This is pretty much for bodybuilding. I don't see too many power lifters or Olympic lifters doing this, but this is usually just for bodybuilders, where they are eating a specific way and training a specific way to shred as much fat as possible, so you can really lean out and get your muscles really defined. Now on the opposite, we have bulking. So bulking is when you are training a lot and eating a lot to get your muscles as big as possible, and you just try and get as big as you possibly can. Normally bulking comes first and then you cut after that. So you want to get as big as possible and then lean down, so all of those muscles and all the bulking that you did is defined and you can see the work that you did. All right, pre-workout. Pre-workout is very popular right now. So pre-workout is a supplement that has a lot of caffeine, and basically the whole point of it is that you take your pre-workout before your workout, so you just like have a ton of energy and like you don't need like a ton of rest time. Like you go, like your energy is just super high. I personally don't take pre-workout because I don't drink caffeine of any kind, but a lot of people really like pre-workout. All right, we have got failure. So failure is pretty much what it sounds like. So say you're lifting really heavy or you're just doing a ton of reps. It just means when your body just gives out. Like you physically cannot do another rep. Like your body just, it kaputs. It stops. You cannot lift anymore, or you cannot do another squat. Your body just, you can't anymore. All right, we've got compound exercises. So compound exercises are, I guess what you could call like the main lifts or main exercises. So they mainly consist of squat, bench, deadlift, maybe you can get some overhead press. Some people, you could have it in there as a compound lift, usually not. Usually it's an accessory, it kind of depends on how you're training. And then if you're doing some like Olympic lifting or CrossFit, you could also consist of cleans and snatch. All right, the term working in, or like let me work in. So typically this will happen if you're working on machines or if you have like a workout buddy, and somebody will usually come up to you and say like, hey, how many sets do you have left? Or hey, how many reps do you have left? And if you like have a ton or really not like much at all, it honestly depends on the situation. But if somebody sees that you are doing something similar, this is usually more popular with machine work because you can just like boop, boop to like adjust the weight instead of like taking off and on plates, like you would on a barbell. So somebody would be like, hey, can I work in with you? So basically that just means like you do your set, right, whatever you're doing, and then they take a turn while you rest. And then you just kind of like, they just kind of work in with you. They jump in with you. I guess that's a better way. But yeah, work. Ego lifting. Ego lifting is a term that I use a lot. It definitely depends on the gym that you're in. So this is what you see a lot in like the Planet Fitness or like the gym fail videos. So what ego lifters are is people that stack on the weight so it looks really impressive and then have terrible form. So they are not hitting full range of motion. So they're just like, their squats are just like they're barely bending their legs. Same with bench. They could just be like they're not moving at all. Or they're just like, their backs are like, and just their form is terrible and they seriously could hurt themselves, but they have all this weight on so it looks really impressive. I mean, they think it looks impressive, but it's really not. So that's ego lifting. It's I hope you don't have to use the term, but you know, you'll see it. You'll see it. Okay, AMRAP is another programming term. So AMRAP just means as many rounds as possible. So typically an AMRAP will be like a set amount of time. Usually when I program AMRAPs, they're like 10 to like 30 minutes long. So whatever, you know, exercises are in the workout or in the AMRAP, you would set the timer, you know, take the clock on, you put it on, and then you just do the exercises and get through that list for as many rounds as possible in that allotted time. All right, ass to grass. So literally that just is, it's a squat term. So the difference would be where your butt is in the squat. So typical squat would be to this parallel, my femurs are parallel to the ground, versus ass to grass would be my butt is to the ground, my ass is to the grass. All right, we have some kind of more equipment terminology. So we're gonna start out with belt. So belt is not like talking about the belt on the treadmill or, you know, a fashion belt. Typically what we're talking about in weightlifting are these belts. So this is a really good brand. This is not sponsored, but I really like them. So we use this to help basically not break our backs. So obviously you want to have really good core control and good core stabilization. So if you are new to lifting, please, 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 please do not use a belt unless it is over 80%. Talk about percentages. It's way simpler than a lot of people make it sound, but literally all it is, so your max, the heaviest you can go for one rep, that's 100%. And then those those percentages are that percentage of that max. So 80% is pretty heavy. So yeah, but please don't wear your belt to warm up. I beg of you. That's not what it's there for. We want you to have strong cores. We want you to be able to have great mobility and be able to do your lifts properly. So please, please, core is the core of everything. Do not use your belt unless it's over 80%, please. All right, next we have our lifters. So there's a lot of different footwear depending on what exercises you're doing. Obviously there's running shoes and tennis shoes, shoes made for basketball. And there's a lot of people that have different opinions on what you should wear when you lift. Some people say go barefoot. Other people say wear Converse. Other people say Vans. Just anything that's like flat with like a hard surface. A lot of people in Olympic lifting that do competitive Olympic lifting wear lifters. So the reason they're called lifters is because they have this little wedge right here, and they are really hard. They make it a lot more stable to lift in. yeah, they usually have a little bit wider of a toe box. There are some that have like a really, really wide toe box, because when you lift, you want to screw your feet into the ground, if that makes sense. What I was always told was to use your big toe, your pinky toe, and your heel to like screw into the ground. And these just kind of help us lift a little bit easier. So yeah, lifters. All right, EMOM. So we have another programming term. EMOM stands for every minute on the minute. So, for example, that would mean like if we were doing an 8-minute EMOM with cleans. So, say you had, like the program was to do 3 cleans. So you'd have your timer on. So when the top of the minute, so like when it hits, well, you start out at 0, so it hits 0, and then you do 3 cleans. What did I say? Yeah, 3 cleans, and then like you have the rest of the minute to rest. And then when it hits 1 minute, then you go again, and when it hits, then you have the rest of the minute to rest. And it hits 2 minutes, you do 3 more cleans, and on until the. Okay, kilo. So this probably isn't like a huge gym term, but kilo basically is just short for kilogram. In America, we don't use the metric system, but in Olympic lifting, we do, because it's an Olympic sport and everybody else uses kilograms. So we just say kilo, that's all. So a lot of these terms, you know, they're pretty universal, but depending on the type of gym that you go to, they might vary a little bit. So, you know, if you're at a CrossFit gym or you're at an Olympic lifting gym, it might be different than if you were at specifically a powerlifting gym, or if you were just at like a regular athletic club or just a regular gym. Those might be a little bit different. But from my experience, these are the terms that I see all the time, so I wanted to bring them to you. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. If I have forgotten anything, any terms, if you have any more questions, please comment down below and do whatever you want. Bye!